Hey, you guys. So just got done watching The Real Housewives of New York, season 14, episode 3, The New Era, the reboot, whatever you want to call it. And I have been getting asked for my beauty stuff, right? So I am going to do a video on the hair loss. You guys know it's coming. I've been waiting for one thing to happen before I bring you the video for a very good reason. You'll understand why I waited. But in the meantime, I have a fun little cheap, much like my hair color, beauty tip, which you're going to love. Yeah, because it's real, because it's something I really use, and it's cheap, which is my new MO, but it works, okay? I got some gossip I'm going to tell you. I don't know if it's going to make you upset, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And then I'm going to do a short recap. But before I start, I want you guys to know that one of my favorite things to do while watching Bravo, because I'm trying not to drink, because as you know, I'm on semaglutide, is beauty treatments. Yes. So I have a beauty treatment that I do under my eyes, and it's cheap. And it's available at Target, and I'm going to put the link in this video. There's a new thing in YouTube where I can actually show you what the hell I'm talking about, because often I will bring up things that work for me and people will be like, what's your hair box that you use, or what's your, I do everything on a budget now, but I have, as you know, $25,000 taste. So I've had to be clever. I'm a scrapper. I had to be clever and find workarounds that got me the same results, That's what you got to do. So anyway, here it is. This is my favorite iPads. Do you see it? Pixie. Didn't give them to me for free. Just love them. Use them. You leave them on your eyes for 5 minutes. They're cool and chill, and you don't have to worry about if you screw them up. Now, I started this video with bags, okay? And then I don't have bags anymore. Let me put HD on so you can see with HD. Okay, now I'm in HD, you guys, so let me take these off. Look, I don't have bags. I have no makeup on, nothing. They're really cool. They're like jellies. And look, I'm not the only one who loves these. Look, 31 people commented, all 5 stars. So it's not just BS. I'm serious. These are really, when I put something on here, no, it's something I really love. Okay, and there's a damn good reason. So each week before the recap, I will spill some tea because I know a lot about these women. And it's way more fun to do it this way. Otherwise, the recaps can get a little dull, right? You might as well watch the show. I give you my opinion. So I like to throw in a little something in the beginning. So I want to do Jessel. I called her Jessel forever. It's Jessel. Jessel Taank. Gosh dang it. Anyway, you guys know that she's from London, and you probably know a lot about her bio at this point from what the show has leaked. And I don't want to ruin that for you. But I will tell you that she is also not a native New Yorker, unfortunately. So I didn't want to ruin this for you last week, because it was already that we found out that Brynn Whitfield was a transplant from LA and isn't really a New Yorker. So I didn't want to do it twice, but I'm going to do it twice because it's true. So it turns out that a lot of the housewives that are appearing on Real Housewives of New York casted from Dallas, okay? And I don't know if they were references from the Real Housewives of Dallas casting that they did, because they were trying to recast that show at some point, and then they liked maybe a few of the women that tried out, and then they said, well, if you've got a footprint in New York, we might be able to use you for that. I don't know how it went down, but needless to say, Jessel is primarily from Dallas. And her man goes back and forth between LA, Dallas, and New York. Although he tried to be sneaky and hide it. But I got him. Let me show you. So this is Jessel's husband, Paveet, and this was taken by me back when BravoCon was happening back in October, I think it was, of 2022. And as you can see, he has 8,232 followers. And he's got this under his profile at Digital Creator, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York. And it says travel, explore, style, luxury, first class, fine dining, 5-star miles, points. And you'll see Whitfield's following him and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City casting, because I guess they casted the New York girls. Anyway, notice his locations: Dallas, Los Angeles, and New York. This is the truth. Although he's not a digital creator, so I don't know what the hell that is. But he does have a travel blog of him on private jets going to luxury places. I don't know if this is just a hobby for him or something he made up knowing his wife was going to be on the show. I'm not sure if it, pre-existed her casting, for example. But here you go. I will tell you what his other jobs are in a minute. But you can see clearly Dallas, Los Angeles, New York. Now, when the show started airing and they started doing the teaser about how all the women are representing real New Yorkers, well, guess what happened to this page? Yup, he deleted Dallas and LA and left it just New York because it wasn't on brand, the fact that they are also transplants to New York, okay? And basically moved to New York for the show. Again, another person. So no wonder he doesn't have sex with Jessel, because he's going LA, New York, and Dallas all the time for business, okay? His real business, which is an investment banker on one hand, and also the owner of a phone company. I'll show you. So this is one of those blog sites that, goes out and they read articles and they piece together information. But in this particular case, it was accurate. Jessel married a successful businessman named Paveet Randhawa in Mexico in 2014. That was because it was featured in Vogue, their marriage. He is the president of Phone Daddy, a Dallas-based telecommunications company. Bing, bing, bing. And that was where, and is where, he was spending his time in Dallas. Now, he also works out of Los Angeles. Let me show you. Paveet is showing still out of Los Angeles. And he must have started Phone Daddy right out of UCLA, where he went to school. And he's from California. He's an experienced management consultant, investment banker, project leader, and advisor to senior executives with background spanning strategy, operations, financial analysis, and M&A. Okay, so that's Paveet's experience. But Phone Daddy definitely was a big business for him, and that's based out of Dallas. So that kind of gives you an idea. They're really not New Yorkers. They're not. I'm sorry. I hate to do this to you guys. To add insult to injury, let me show you one more thing. This is Jessel's LinkedIn, okay? She was director of PR for Westfield Mall, which is a big mall chain. They have quite a few locations, but Los Angeles, you will have heard of it. She also worked out of the Beverly Hills office of BWR from 2019 to 2020, 1 year and 2 months, okay? I worked with BWR on feature films. They used to do all the publicity for most of the movie companies I worked with. And she worked in that office, okay? That was an LA-based job. Also, she went and worked for The Right Now, which a bunch of publicists that were senior at BWR broke away and took their clients with them and started a company called The Right Now, which happens sometimes your senior executives in your agency will poach clients and go. So she also jumped ship when her, senior people jumped ship from BWR to start The Right Now and went to work there. And she worked there for 2 years and 1 month until of July of 22. You see her now suddenly, right? Very suddenly. Because look, she leaves her job in October of 2022 from LA and then moves to New York in October of 2022. She goes to work for like 3 months out of New York for the Right Now and then leaves. And now she's in New York and she's started her own business called The No. But the problem with The No PR is this. They know very few people as a publicist. One post, 69 followers, and it's pretty much been this way for 6 months. This was taken back when she was announced in BravoCon. So she's actually gained, I think, 40 followers in 6 months for her company, The No. Okay, so it's like a bullshit company that she put together just to say that she works out of New York. So bottom line, they're really from LA and Dallas mostly and not New York much, which is fishy. Now, there is no doubt that they have money. They do. And it's based on his wealth, I think. That's what I've been able to figure out. They had a lavish wedding. It was a destination wedding in Mexico. It was over days. It was covered by Vogue. I mean, they're definitely not hurting for cash. I think he has the money. I think they basically fabricated a TV life that they're putting forth and we're just watching it. But it makes me now question everything that comes out of Jessel's mouth, including her husband issues and how she's behaving and her story about sticking a popsicle up her coochie that we heard tonight. But I'll get to that later. Now, would I have cared if they hadn't marketed the show that these are real New Yorkers that represent all of New York? No, I probably wouldn't have cared. But because they chose from the get-go to make that the lead-in for the franchise, it pissed me off. Because those two women so far, and that's just the two I've talked about on my episode recaps, those two, Brynn and Jessel, are not New Yorkers. They're not. And I'm sure you could ask Sai or Saya. I heard Andy call her Saya tonight, so I'm like, maybe that's her name. But if you ask Sai, she'll tell you as a real New Yorker, because she is. Nothing pisses off a New Yorker more than someone pretending to be a New Yorker that isn't. I know because I was raised in Manhattan. At that time, because Manhattan wasn't as expensive as it is now, if you lived even in the Bronx or Brooklyn, it wasn't even considered New York, right? That's how snotty people were and protective of New York City. You see some of that in Sex and the City if you watch that show. You know, Sarah Jessica Parker, she's like, oh my God, you're going over there. Now, over time, that's changed because cost of real estate became so expensive that New Yorkers chose to expand the boundary of New York to include Brooklyn and Bronx, and because it worked for them. And that's why, you know, they said, okay, now everybody's a New Yorker, you know, but it wasn't always that way. Now, everybody on this show's got shit, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm a Jenna Lyons fan because I think she's truly being herself on the show and I respect it so much. And she's weird, which I love because I'm weird. So thank God someone else is weird out there. But I really am enjoying that, you know, part of the show. But Jenna has her problems too. I just haven't spilled them yet. Everybody gets a turn. You know how it works. Okay, but tonight, let's talk about what happened on the show, shall we? So we wake up in the morning and we find out that Jenna has left Erin's Hamptons house, which, by the way, the heat didn't work on the second floor, which is odd because it's like this ultra-modern, really nice Sag Harbor Hamptons house. Don't know why that's the case, but the heat didn't work. So they're freezing. Anyway, Jenna says, look, I had to go. A, I was cold, really cold. B, you guys were partying at like 10 o'clock at night and I wanted to go to bed because I had a 6:30 a.m. work call. And also I didn't want to disturb you. And I have a perfectly good cottage up the street near the ocean in a better neighborhood, but small. And so I'm going to go. stay at my house. But she doesn't really say goodbye. She just kind of leaves. And so Erin is hurt. She's like, my house isn't good enough. Girls are like, why doesn't Jenna want to party with us? And why is she like an old lady that needs to go to bed at 10 o'clock? And so they act like it really annoyed them. And we sort of see that in the morning. And then Jenna just kind of ignores it and goes about her business. And she just says, look, my position on this is I didn't want to disturb you. It was nothing personal to your house. And I had a work call. So like, I honestly, like, what's the problem? You're all grown women. Why the hell am I holding you up in your life? Because they tried to use that as an excuse. Anyway, Jenna's like, look, I don't even know how to be on a girls' trip with you people. I've never had girlfriends. I didn't even understand that the fun part is waking up all together. Uba, of course, says that is everything. Of course, we all get together in the same place and that's what's fun. And Jenna's like, okay, sorry, I get it. No offense. Now, what I mentioned to you on my previous recap is that Erin and Jenna are friends in real life, and it is coming across on the show because Erin is protective of Jenna, and Brynn, she's like throwing her under the bus, and Brynn is going to call it out on this episode. The women bring it. Erin is being subdued, relaxed Hampton girl, and the women bring the sophistication of fashion from New York. They're really like strutting their stuff, and they do. They look great. Anyway, you know, we love our fashion on Housewives, so, you know, I totally appreciated the women dressing way over the top for the Hamptons for our viewing pleasure. So then Brynn Whitfield shows up to work out with the women. It's clear she's dated the coach. The coach is hot. He thinks Uba's hot. Uba thinks he's hot. They flirt with each other, and he's training the women, and it's fun, and it's a really cute scene. Then Brynn shows up in a fur coat and like sweats, not really wanting to work out, and she kind of throws herself at the coach, who she obviously had a pre-existing thing with. It's pretty obvious. And then what happens is he sort of isn't that into her, but it gives the women a moment to comment on how Brynn could turn on like a light, basically, or paper bag, I think they said, and a light. And Ub is kind of jealous of Brynn. She's like, you know, why is she moving in on the coach guy? But no real fight ensues. It's just like healthy competition between two women, or at least that's the way they edited it. So they go to lunch at a restaurant, and thank F they don't go to a goddamn winery, because I'm so sick of seeing the housewives go to a winery. It's so boring. Like, can't you think of anything else besides a healthy retreat or a winery? Like, they think it's a thing now. It's not a thing. The fans are, like, bored of it. Like, pick a new place. Do something else. Like, make peace some other way. Oh, my God, I got really upset. So they get to lunch, and Brynn tries to pick a fight with Erin because she doesn't have anything else to do. So she says to Erin, you have a double standard. This morning, you were all upset with Jenna when I got there at the gym class, and now you guys have forgiven her like it was nothing. When it came to me, you had a double standard. You were like pissed because I blew off a dinner to go to a cooler spot, and you held it over my head for a long time. And in this particular instance, she got no slack for it. So why the double standard? And Erin says, it's because I don't like you. Well, there you have it. So during lunch, Jessel gets also hit by the women because they make fun of the fact that she was freaking out so badly about her lingerie that Jenna gave her that was emerald green with black lace that she hated, that wasn't her look or style. And they're like, you didn't have to be so rude to Jenna. You could have just been like, this isn't my style, and took it off. You started screaming that you aren't a Christmas tree and all this stuff. And so we're like, oh. So Jessel listens to the women, and she pipes up a little bit, but then she apologizes to Jenna. But the women don't want to like Jessel. It's obvious. They come for her even more. They're like, well, Jessel has this tendency of apologizing, but then she does it again. And then they used an example. It was kind of a BS example, honestly. And that's it. But they're coming for Jessel. They're coming for her. Anyway, lunch is over. The women are like, oh my God, what room do we get tonight? Because it's freezing at Erin's house and they're afraid to be cold. They figure that problem out and then they start getting ready for dinner. So it was decided that everyone would dress up for dinner at, Erin's house, and they were having a chef over. And so everyone glammed up except for Jenna. And the women, I guess, lent her a dress. Uba lent her a dress. And it was very sleek and black. And she looked really hot in it. And it was also very sophisticated and cool. And she said that she really enjoyed dressing up for one night, but it wasn't something she was going to continuously do because when she was with men, that's all she did was put their lens on and dress up for them, but not for herself. And when she started dressing up for herself, she liked to be in jeans and like a buttoned up shirt, pretty J. Crew, actually, come to think of it. So that was, this kind of epiphany we get about Jenna. And in a way, she's trying to reclaim her power. And that's sort of a reoccurring theme with her. So dinner looks great. The women are eating the chef's food. Everyone's happy at this point, and they're all together. And they start to play this game where you tell 3 places that you had sex or something you did sexually, and one of them isn't true. So it goes around the room, and it gets to Jessel, and we expect Jessel's to kind of be lame because she's more conservative and kind of snobby, and also her husband and her are having trouble in their sex life, right, on the show. So we expect it to be lame, and she shocks everyone with she's stuck a popsicle up her coochie. Brynn giggles with delight and says, I'm going to run around the room without my clothes on, but they don't show it if she did. Anyway, then Uba looks it up on her phone, which was really authentic, I think. And she says, wait a minute, doctors are saying to not put popsicles up their coochie because it's bad for you. And so the women are then enamored by the fact that Jessel seems to be so straight-laced, but she's got to have a real wild side they haven't seen that would like motivate her to actually stick a popsicle inside of herself during sex with ice and all this stuff. And everybody makes like a funny comment about how intrigued they are about this. It like really gathers the women's attention and becomes like a thing. So this is a totally produced moment and I loved it. So they did a really good job with this, whoever was the producer that put this stunt in place, because they edited it a certain way that I know it was produced. Anyway, some other fun ones was that Eriln had sex in a senator's office, but didn't say if it was with a senator or not. Brynn is having sex with her back to the face of Saudi princes in LA. I think we can all read between the lines on that one, especially my patrons. Uba had sex in Central Park. That seems to wow the women. I mean, who hasn't had sex in Central Park? One of the funnier ones was Jenna, who had a man fall asleep while he was having sex with her on top of her. Is that possible? Or do you just go? There was not a lot of movement that night. That's all I can say. God, why are people so then weird? We go outside and we sort of see a shout out to the Real Housewives of Dallas. You know, one of the scenes where they're all trying to do something and no one's really good at it. And it's like kind of funny, but not really. You know what I mean? Anyway. Then we sit down by the fire pit, we get the fire going, and Sai tells a story of her childhood and how she wants to be rich and have money and talk like she's got money because her whole life she was poor. And boy, did that hit home for me. I don't know if you guys remember the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion for season 2, part 2 that I was in, but that was exactly what I said. I was like, you know, when you come from an environment where your whole life you're made fun of because you don't have money or you're frowned upon, then you're what? You're punished later when you finally get it. And and brag about it a little. And, you know, so Sai really said basically the same thing I did, which I really appreciated and got her story. She told about, you know, how really sparse her Christmases were. She left home at 16. She moved in with a high school friend, and, you know, she couldn't finish college because she couldn't afford to finish college. And so she was a scrapper, and that's what she did. And I left home at 15, so I really connected on that story. And there's a lot of New York and Connecticut people that really scrapped their way to the top. And I think a lot of those people are going to really relate with Sai, because that's a New York story that a lot of us have. Anyway, it's going to explain why she has a guard up and is really conscious to depict herself in a certain way. Now, that said, some of the things she said on the show didn't totally align with things I've seen on her YouTube channel. And so I got a little confused by that, but I'm going to go back and refresh my memory because I captured some of it, and I want to make sure that I'm not remembering it wrong before I comment on it. So that I will talk about in a future episode once I get more. I have to refresh myself on my deep dive I did. So unfortunately for me, though, with Sai, I'm not seeing the influencer I connected with on her YouTube channel. She's actually better on her YouTube channel than she is on the show. So I'm hoping that will, like, over time, she'll get more and more used to the cameras, and the threat of not being on the show and all that will have melted away, and we're going to start to see more of her real personality. Because she's not like a bitch on her YouTube channel. She's really likable and relatable. So anyway, we'll see if that begins to come out. This could be the edit. I'm just saying. What else I want to say? Oh, Uba's doing better. She's being more authentic. And that's it. So we'll have to just see how it goes. I see the producers downplaying Brynn a little bit. They don't want to make it the Brynn show. And that's good. But we're going to see Brynn, I think, break soon. Because if I know the producers, they would have resented her confidence. And they would start to chip away at it to see if they could break her. So they're going to mess with her. And I should be able to tell you what they did. Soon. It's coming. Yeah. Oh, the mind F of it all. You have no idea. Anyway, that's a wrap. Let me know what you think about the Real Housewives of New York episode 3. I'm dying to see your thoughts so far. Who do you like? Who do you not like? Is it bothering you that nobody's from New York? No, not all of them are like that, but a few people.